All right, terrific. Well, so welcome everybody. Thanks for joining our session today on navigating the depths of large-scale cloud migrations. Just right off the bat, we're really excited. We have a customer of our Warner Brothers joining us on stage today. We'll get into introductions of everybody in just a moment. I wanted to start with just a quick overview of what we'll be covering during the session today. So we will be taking a deep dive into best practices when it comes to migrating petabytes of data. We'll be looking into the decision-making process and the strategic reasons for the decision to migrate and consolidate to Microsoft, as well as a number of other things. So we do want to keep it light and engage the audience at times for questions. We want to give you as much actionable information as we can on CloudFuze, the Warner Brothers migration, and how we were able to migrate petabytes of data to Microsoft with, I would say, a very good user experience overall. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. We'll be taking a deep dive into that. Before we go into that, let's start with some introductions. So I'm Anthony Raymond, Head of Strategic Partnerships for CloudFuze. I do manage and lead our partnership with Microsoft, so very excited to be back at M365 this year. And I have Ravi Poli, our CEO.
Hi, my name is Ravi Poli, and I'm the founder and CEO of CloudFuze. It's been 10 years that we started CloudFuze, and we've been doing a lot of migrations, as you will see. We'll cover those in the session, but kind of coming about my background, before CloudFuze, I was an enterprise architect, worked for large companies, being in the integration space, integrating with several different applications and all that for almost 7 years. I was an enterprise architect. With that experience, started building the product and started kind of, adding the team members and all. So after that, it's been 10 years. We have gone from a nothing to really great product, able to migrate these petabytes of data and all that. So I don't want to talk too much about it, but it's a great journey. Definitely, I think we'll cover some of the stuff in the session. Thank you.
Thanks, Ravi.
Amanda Pierce, VP of Modern Work Platforms and Application Development at Warner Brothers Discovery. So my role sounds very broad, right? So I have all of M365 and the administration of that, as well as our cloud-based workflow solution platforms, as well as our file storage platforms, our chat, our collaboration, and our AV.
Cindy? Yeah.
Thanks, Amanda. So my name is Vikrant. I'm technical architect at Warner Bros. Discovery, part of Amanda's team. And my function is primarily to run operation, maintenance, and integration across various collaboration platforms. And my team function horizontally across the entire organization. So we work with various divisions, understand their pain point, requirements, and build solution on top of these collaboration solutions. Thank you.
Thanks, Vikrant. Awesome. So thank you for the thanks for the intros, everybody. So we're going to start with a little bit of CloudFuze background. We want to just share a little bit about who we are and also the product, the tooling that we use to accomplish the job. I think that's important to the overall, to understanding the overall migration. So I'm going to let Ravi share a little bit on CloudFuze background. Ravi Poli, please.
So I know Anthony gave me all the sales slides to me, so I have to really go through the boring of the sales slides, so just bear with me. I'm going to just move faster, but quick introduction. We are a 10-year-old company, as I said, and we are one of the leading platforms in the cloud office migration. And our approach is kind of a little bit different than others because in terms of the kind of migrations we take up, the kind of things we do, right? So we want to do end-to-end, fully secure migrations, and speed and 100% accuracy is where we come into picture when we have large migrations or any type of migrations. Quick background, again, we would have migrated over the 10 years, maybe 50 plus petabytes of data for all the customers, large, small, and all that. We do a lot of smaller migrations, and we've done so many of them. And then if you look into all of our products, so we started with content and expanded into all other areas, right? The messaging, the Teams, the Slacks of the world, and the email services, and tenant to tenant. Not only that, the great thing is about the embedded links and the hyperlinks that we also migrate in any migration that we recently added like a couple of years back. It's kind of like really great as a 100% accurate migration. A lot of the customers are happy with that. We'll also talk a little bit about that in the session. And then we also done like whiteboards migrations. So there are a lot of whiteboard solutions. We partnered with one of the whiteboarding company, and then we did that. It's kind of a great UI-based migrations and all. So other products are also there. So kind of I also wanted to, I know this is a deeper technical session, deeper kind of like a architecture session. I also wanted to cover a quick how our architecture works. The difference, as I mentioned, between us and others has been more about the platform architecture. We are a cloud-native architecture, so kind of built in the cloud itself from kind of day one. So we have like a standard, kind of a 3-tier architecture, but built in the cloud. And then we can really make this, highly scalable, highly powerful, as you will see, right? But and also at the same time, all of this is highly secure. We transfer like using secure streams and all that, and then obviously we have like all those like security certifications of SOC 2 Type 2, and then ISO, and then obviously we are GDPR compliant company too. So that's kind of very quick introduction. I hope it is not too boring. So I'm done, Anthony.
It was perfect, Ravi. It was perfect. Awesome, terrific. Thank you. So in terms of the CloudFuze background and moving forward into really the meat of the discussion today, we, in preparation for this session, we wanted to make sure that the Warner team could share, and be candid about the migration. So we offered some questions in advance, and we're going to take a deep dive into those responses now as we feel to share and shed some light on, again, what we covered, best practices and solutions. So yeah, please, if you can move on to the next slide. So first question we have, and this question's for Amanda. What were the strategic goals behind Warner Brothers and Discovery's decision to migrate to Microsoft 365, and how did these goals influence the selection of your migration solution? So we'd love to hear your response to that.
Yeah, definitely. So give you a little background about this to paint a picture, right? So we have Warner Brothers Discovery is a newly formed company over the last 18 months to 2 years, right? I think we just hit like that 18-month mark. Warner Media before that was a comprised company of a historical of like AOL to Time Warner to Turner, HBO, and Warner Brothers all coming together. So we have a lot of legacy organizations using legacy tools and different products coming together as one company. Same story on the Discovery side. So the Discovery side had several acquisitions and mergers that had happened in their history, and they were coming together as one company. And then you brought the two families together to become Warner Brothers Discovery. So if you can imagine the amount of data, the amount of products, and the amount of just places where files were stored, it was insane amounts of maintenance and people having to figure out, where do I store this? Where, if I want to share it, if I want to collaborate on something, where do I go? You're here, you don't have a license here. So we took a look at that solution starting from day one of the merger, right? How can we best work together? How can we become one WBD? And that is the tagline of our company, because we want to become one company who can seamlessly integrate and collaborate with one another on all different divisions. We have film, we have TV, we have, live series, we have sports, we have news. We run the gamut of the type of content that we have. And we just wanted to come together as one company. So that was our number one priority in going down this journey of migrating all of our data into one centralized place. The second thing was security. So obviously we have all these different platforms that we're moving from and trying to consolidate to one place. Every platform does security just slightly different. So we wanted to make sure that on this migration that we really did have a way to contain the security, make sure that like if you shared with somebody external or internal, that when that came over, that was the exact same security that was in place. We wanted to make it as turnkey as possible so that the user experience was good, because we were taking away a product that they had used for years and telling them, you're now going to use this product. So we really had to make it an easy change. Last but not least was the complexity of this, right? I mean, like I said, we're coming from several different products into one. We wanted to make sure that it was as least complicated as it could possibly be, right? Change management was a huge portion of this. Our user buy-in and adoption, you can't do anything successfully if you don't have your users bought into what the benefits are going to be for them. So we really focused on that. And we selected a partner based on meeting all of those criteria. So whether it was the functional aspect of it, whether it was the complexity, whether it was the security, we needed somebody to check all those boxes, as well as be able to move the data, that amount of data, in a speed that got us somewhere fast. We didn't have years to wait for this type of migration. We needed to become one company very quickly in order to meet our goals.
Thanks, Amanda. Wonderful response. One Warner Brothers discovery. I like it. Awesome. Terrific. So we're going to move on to another question here. This one I think is posed for Vikrant, if I'm not mistaken. So in terms of the overall migration, what initial concerns did you have when you first started exploring a migration to Microsoft 365?
That's a great question, and thanks, Amanda, for adding the background to the whole journey. As a media company, the data is like nothing for us. So we are talking about petabytes of data, thousands of users from each division, each entity, region is different. So how to handle it around the world? We need to meet many people, timing is a concern, and the more we wait, the more tech debt we'll create, because people don't want to stop their work. They keep continue generating new content, new asset in their respective platform, and it will become more challenging for us. So the biggest challenge we had in front of us is bringing change to thousands of people and telling them it won't impact you much. That's the biggest challenge in front of us. So we worked with many people. We did surveys. We read about their opinion, their thoughts, and we slowly understand the need and the requirement of all these platforms in all these departments. And then we started filling the gap. And that's where the partnership comes in picture. Because we have any tool you name it, we have it. And people are using it for a need. So we were looking for a partner who can go bi-directional migration in any ways. So that's where CloudFuze step in. Then the next challenge is, if I'm moving petabytes of data, how do we verify where the data is? So we spend a lot of time in pre-assessment, identifying who's using what, generating thousands of reports on pre-assessment. This user is using these many files on these many days, and what's the pattern? Because once you know the pattern, and when you're going to meet them, you know what to present to them as a solution. So that's a big change for us.
Thanks, Vikram. I think the just to elaborate, and maybe you can expand a little bit on pre-migration planning. I think that was, in this migration, I know if we had not done the work up front that we did in regards to pre-migration reports and pre-migration planning, there's no way we would have had as smooth of a migration as we did, and minimal user interruption, or whatever we want to call it, negative user experience. Can you talk a little bit more maybe about, since it is a deep dive, just a little bit more about pre-migration planning, reporting, or best practices you might have had there, or things you might have maybe done differently next time, or anything you can add?
Yeah, definitely. The most important part is we need a partner who can do cross-platform. So as I said, we have all the platform view, which you name it in this world, who do the file sharing, we have it. And the first question comes to mind is how we will migrate from one place to another place. What tool we can use it. So that's where the cross-platform compatibility is our first check, saying we need a product which can do n number of tools to n number of destinations, source and destination, irrelevant. We spend a lot of time researching on it, and doing our own math. Like we are talking about this much amount of data from this platform, this much amount of data to this platform. So that's the most important part, like one tool which can do all those things. The another one is because you're bringing change to the people, and usually people have emotion to their legacy application. So when you go to the meeting and says, hey, I'm moving you from this platform to this platform, they'll say, you're breaking my workflows, you're breaking my life, you're spoiling my entire week, and I don't have a bandwidth. So our strategy is like, how can we help you to minimize your pain? We will modify all the links for you. We will take care of all the permission, internal sharing, and all those things. We even done a pre-assessment report, as Anthony mentioned. Sometimes users don't even know how much data they have and how much data they touched in last 6 months. So our strategy is like, let us run a report for you and show you that yes, you have terabytes of data, but are you really using all the terabytes on that single week when we are doing migration? So we did pre-assessment report from many years, months, even weeks. We run the delta migration in batches. So at the end, we can minimize the downtime for the impact. If we don't do the pre-assessment, then the delta migration or actual migration could take months or maybe years. Because usually people create one folder, an entire department is uploading into that one gigantic folder. So you're talking about one user, but it will impact thousands of people who's using that folder. So that's where the pre-assessment comes in picture, and it helps us a lot. The another point is, when you're touching petabytes of data, the question is, how do I know you migrated all of my files? That's a big question. Some people says, I don't trust you. So we need to be prepared for that question. So whenever we do the migration, we prepare a report for a user, say, congratulations, all of your data is migrated. And there is a spreadsheet you can see you can find all of your file where you have the source URL and the destination URL. That gives confidence to the user saying, I have all my files, I can do sanity check, I can go to the new URL, I don't need to spend hours to find that file. So that's where the reporting comes in play. One thing I would really like to add, and it might not be there, is we need to listen users a lot. Because what happened, we don't know how they're using their file system, we don't know how they're managing. Sometimes they are using it in a way which is impacted or connected to a workflow, like a downstream application or upstream application. So it's important to understand from where the data is coming and where the data is going. And then you can set your priorities on the basis of the downstream application, because that's where the user are consuming the data. So any migration, if you understand the impact using pre-assessment reports and the reports by a tool itself, you can minimize the impact significantly. And that's the key for this project.
Very well said. Thanks, Vikrant. All right, so moving on to our next question. We have, what metrics or key performance indicators were used to measure the success of the migration, and what achievements can Warner Brothers Discovery share as a result? So I know that this kind of dovetails into what you were just speaking about when it comes to listening to user feedback, and user needs. So if you can speak to this, I think that kind of dovetails nicely with what you were just speaking to, Vikrant.
Yeah, that's a great question, and that's an important question in any project. How do you say you are successful? So what we did is, the first question is, thousands of users need to be done in 18 months. So we need to spend a lot of time in the pre-migration planning and identify how many users is using that product in average way, or how many are using in a heavy. Once you have that, then you can define the migration planning. Like, I will handle my 1,000 users on such and such month, and I will handle my 10,000 users on such and such month. So the schedule and the plan and the comms, there are 3 key pillars for any migration project. So what we did is, by looking at the pre-assessment report, we identify how much time we will take it, Then we identify how much time we need to support the users if they face any challenges, and how we can schedule it. So planning, pre-assessment, planning, scheduling, and communication. These are the three important things we followed in all the migration jobs we run. Second one is data accuracy. It's a good one because we have versions in every file system. So sometimes people say, I have versions here. Could you migrate all of my versions? And the answer is yes. Can you give me accuracy for all the versions? The answer is yes, because we have the reports. Like for this file, we run it for entire versions. Ultimately, we can measure the accuracy either file storage, number of files. We do have some cases where people say, I don't have the file, but the way we provided the support to them, we gain their confidence. Why the file is not there? Because you do not own the file. Someone else owns the file. So maybe you need to go to a different location to get that file. So all this conversation is happening in a positive environment, and users are taking it in a very, very positive and motivated way and help us a lot during their journey. The most important is downtime minimize. I mean, if you tell someone I'm moving your terabytes of data, but it will take months, you are reducing the confidence in the project itself. So the way we did it, we told user, we will move your terabytes of data within a weekend, and they were surprised, like, how? And then we explained the all planning and the scheduling, saying, you don't need to worry about it. We'll start migrating without even letting you know. And during that weekend, we'll cut over. So, and once we explain this to user, like in a scheduled fashion, like we start from here, it will take 4 months to get your 400 terabytes or 1 petabytes of data. And then we'll done it 2 or 3 more times, the delta migration. For that, during that weekend, we are only dealing with 2 weeks of file, which you change or which you touch. So that's what we call delta migration. So we are not migrating petabytes over the night. We are migrating petabytes over the month, but user will see the impact only for the weekend. The achievement, I would say, is cross-functional collaboration increases so high. If you put a file in 10 different places, and if you start sharing with thousands of people, there is always a confusion, like which is the real source, which is the source of truth, and where should I go and get the file? Bringing the file into one platform, it makes so easy, because now the file is only in one place, and I can find everyone in there, and I can share with anyone who I like. But if you keep in isolated platforms, then you need to share the file from that platform. User may or may not have the license to that platform. Again, you're reducing the productivity, because now user need to request the license for the platform, get to the file, and then collaborate to it. So bringing it to one place, it's really, really good. And one thing which I would like to add is, and I heard from Amanda as well, like now we don't need to spend hours searching the file as well. Because if I know the file name and it's in one place, I can go there and search it, rather going into 10 different places and find for it. I would say 85% I get the wrong file when I search for my own files. Yep. And yeah, productivity, collaboration increased a lot after this.
Terrific. Thanks, Vikrant. And I think, in terms of a couple short questions, with no data left behind, everything was successfully migrated. And we will share some numbers as we move forward here. So based on your migration experience, we're going to move into kind of best practices here, some tips maybe for moving forward. What feedback would you offer to improve the process for other large enterprises, and what advice would you give to others undergoing a similar transition? Maybe there are some folks out there that are considering a large migration or migrating a few petabytes of data. I think we put a poll out for this session. I think it was about 30% of we had about 50 responses. Obviously, not everybody who responded showed, but still a good showing. But it was about a 30% response in terms of companies or individuals that are going to be migrating over a petabyte of data this year. So very interested to hear. Amanda, I think you're going to take this one.
Yeah. So how do you succeed in this journey, right? First and foremost, it's change management. You need to manage your users' expectations. It's not going to be easy. It will be hard. Change is always hard. So how can we best manage and how can we proactively go after the things that will make your life easier? Really celebrating the benefits that they're going to receive once moving to one single platform. The loss of complexity of where do I find this and where do I get this, and having to go to multiple places is removed. So really, benefits that will really ease their daily life and kind of that whole WIFM, right? What's in it for me? Point that out to them. Be transparent. Like I said, change is hard. We're not going to just look over the fact that we're changing your life and the way that you work. Vikrant mentioned, really dive into how people are working and how they're doing things and why they're doing it that way. A lot of the reasons you'll get back is because, well, we've always done it this way. Well, let us introduce you to a new way to do things that would make your life even easier and make you more productive. So that it was a lot of change management around this. Celebrate your milestones. Every little bit counts. Keep the teams that are working on this super involved, motivated to continue working. This is not an easy effort for anyone. There's a lot of planning, a lot of work that goes involved in all of this. So make sure we celebrate those things. Seek guidance from experts. So definitely, we talked to several other companies. We've talked to other partners. We've talked to a million different people around this whole journey of how do we get to one place. Make sure that you get their expertise, get their lessons learned. Find a partner that's going to support you through all of these things. I think we're very happy with the outcome, and we're still going. So, that's the benefit of this is that when you have something like this, at least in my company's world, change is never. It doesn't stop. It's constant, right? There's changes in different mergers and acquisitions and companies at any given minute. So what we're doing is trying to set ourselves up for success, learning all of these best practices for the next change moment, because it's going to come. It's just a matter of when.
Awesome. Thanks, Amanda. Awesome. So we wanted to share some stats on this migration. I think it's a great time to kind of move on to exactly what we did migrate over this. And without getting into too many specifics, it was multiple source clouds. So there were multiple source clouds that we were migrating into Microsoft SharePoint, into Microsoft SharePoint, OneDrive. As far as our relationship with Warner Brothers, that started back in 2019, so we have been working with them for quite some time. We migrated around 3 petabytes of data for this migration. So in the scope of migrations to Microsoft, I think this stands as the largest right now to date, so we're very proud of that. Users migrated 23,000, SharePoint sites migrated almost 1,200. And then one thing, the last two I kind of want to highlight, especially the hyperlinks here. Vikrant had shared just a little bit on embedded links migration and our capability to migrate embedded links. And that's something that's unique to CloudFuze in the industry, the ability to, if you have a Excel that links to a Word doc that links to an Excel, normally you migrate over, those links are broken, your users are going to have to rebuild those. So ultimately, I know that one of the big drivers behind the decision to use CloudFuze from a technical standpoint was that we could migrate embedded links. So if we look at how many were migrated, we migrated about 10 million. So, even if the other alternative is to have your users recreate those links, which at a minute a link adds up. So, if you have power users that have thousands and thousands of links and you migrate them and you say, hey, you're going to have to recreate these, good luck. That's just, to your point, that's not the best user experience. It's a loss of productivity, whether it can be measured in the cost of the migration expense. Now, it's not going to be on the agreement, but it's going to eat into resources. And then obviously permissions. That just goes towards the scope. Yeah, sure.
Data sources too changes the data source. In Excel, there's data sources tables and that as well, not just the link within link.
The data source, so the link within, let's just say it was coming from another source cloud, right? It would have that source cloud link in it. When migrated over, it'll then convert into a Microsoft link, so a SharePoint link, or we'll convert it into a...
Yeah, I think, no, it's not the data source link. It is the link present in the...
Just an URL link.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
To,
Yeah.
So you can't do ODBC.
That's correct.
So did you have the 80 groups as well?
We do.
Did you migrate them?
Yeah, if you're asking question about user mapping, yes, we did.
So all the groups got synced.
Yes, if it is in a destination, yes.
And how segregated your environment is? I mean, what is the diversification? How did you deal with German council? I mean, because there you don't get to get voluntary migrations. It's more, they don't tend to get agreed very soon with the migration that you guys did in 180 days.
Yeah, so with the migration effort, like obviously the users, this wasn't necessarily their choice to do that. So we chose as a company, this is what we're going to be working towards to become one company. All of the users were told, hey, this is a change management piece of this. We're going to move you, this is the date, this is the time. We had to be very sensitive because business didn't stop. We launched Max in the middle of this, by the way. So yeah, I mean, business didn't stop. So we had to get the users very comfortable, like Vikrant said, with that planning and that scheduling. It was very crucial to their experience with that. We brought over all of, like Vikrant said, all of the user permissions, the groups, everything was maintained with any of that as coming over with the files from the different locations.
Remember seamless, single tenant organization? Where there were multiple?
We're as close to single as we might get.
Until something changes,
Yeah,
right?
we do have multiple tenants still. There's reasons for those multiple tenants. We continuously look at the enhancements that are being done across cross-tenant capability. But yeah.
This is one question. I mean, I'm so sorry I'm taking a lot of questions. Just the last one of them. Because we guys do a lot of M&As and mergers and acquisitions. I just want to check, so if you do a carve-out, because there are huge companies, and you take a single domain out of it, in that situation, those guys never are ready to give you global admins today. So will this tool be able to carve you out that company with the exchange admin permissions? That's it, because I'm not giving you global admin. In that scenario, it's really get irrelevant to have that acquisition, and then,
There's potential ways to, I don't know that question applies because that's more of CloudFuze tooling than it is Warner Brothers. We could certainly take that offline or outside of this meeting, but I know that there's workarounds where we can use SharePoint admins, so there is potential. It just depends on how you're structured, but typically speaking, we're using global admins to connect and then read down.
Happen when your mailbox get moved, so the source was locked? Till what time?
Well, so okay, maybe we should clarify too. So with CloudFuze, we did the file storage migration. We had an entirely different effort for our mail migration.
Okay, thank you. That was the main answer.
Yeah, but to just to answer your question, yes, the source get read only as we move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So usually Microsoft it gets locked at 95%. All that time it gets online on that point. So I just wanted to check what happens on the third-party tool when you migrate staying in a box.
Yeah, as Amanda said, it's a separate project. It's not done by CloudFuze, so.
I thought it's all Exchange and all of the other stuff as was going on.
Now this is more file.
This file.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Well, there's another session for that.
Yeah.
Okay, terrific.
Yeah, I just want to add this one point on the hyperlinks itself. I'm not sure, Amanda, if you remember or not. I think in one of our QBRs, I think we're talking about I think at that time there were like 7 million or something, and we thought hey, it's like, what if it's 1 minute to fix one hyperlink for the end users. I think we almost saved 10 million minutes or now. So I think that's a great ROI if you ask me and I feel great about it, as a founder of the company and all of our team feels really great about that. Hey, you know what? we saved pain for like some of those people who are going to hate like what tool has migrated, why they didn't fix it, right? So I think we saved it. I think that's, as a kind of technology guy, I think that's a kind of great achievement for me, as a very personally satisfying kind of accomplishment, if you ask me, especially on hyperlinks.
I have, thank you, Ravi. Yeah, I mean, as far as the hyperlinks go, it was a win, and I know you're very proud of that personally. It's always good. I know I had one last question. Just high level, Amanda, Vikrant, can you share maybe just a minute on the overall migration experience with CloudFuze?
I'll let you start.
Yeah, from a technical point of view, I can tell you, like, I told these guys to change so many things in last 6 months because as Amanda mentioned, we are a little bit different than others. We have so many departments, so many people. Everyone use tool in a different way and different fashion. There are places where I need to go back to Anthony and Ravi says, I need you guys to change a little bit of code in the back end and run it in a different way. And surprisingly, they said, yeah, we can do it. And which is a fact, by the way. Reporting, I told them to run a pre-assessment report on many, many folders, which are millions of files. Although it take 15 to 16 days, but at the end I get the file. And we were able to put that file in front of the users and tell them, like, this is your source schema, and we can help you to diverse that schema into multiple end destinations. Because usually what happens when you're moving from one place to another, there are certain limitations on destination as well, like you can't fit all in one place. So we split that into multiple destinations, and we split the migration jobs into multiple migration jobs as well. We had a white glove service as part of our agreement, so it was fine. The user responses was getting closed as they come in the ticketing system and all, so that's good. Over to you. Thanks.
Yeah, I would say my experience, this is not our first migration. Like I said, we've had several mergers and acquisitions in the history of the company. So we've been through this a time or two. CloudFuze was really great at partnering with us. And I don't say that lightly, because to have a partner, you're both going to listen to each other. You're both going to collaborate on a solution. There's not any type of like, we can't do this. It's let us go back to the table and really think this through. So we were really impressed with the partnership that we received from CloudFuze in this endeavor. Like Vikrant said, he was happy, so I was happy. He was asking for changes all the time to meet a very complex user base requirements. I mean, we have everything from corporate users to creative customers to marketing to ad sales, you name it, and different file types in all of these different locations. It's not just Word, PowerPoint, and Excel. So it was huge for us to work with a partner who really tried to understand our business to give us the best solution.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think, I know, like, first of all, thank you. Many thanks for both of your feedback and all. And I think I was talking to some of the people on the booth and all that, like, they're asking, okay, how are you different, or like, what's your unique things and all that. So I think we say, we have a philosophy, right? I call it as 3Ps philosophy. Every migration is unique. But for us, CloudFuze, we say, like, people are important, the product important, and then the platform, right? So what is the technology behind the whole platform is also important. That is how, our platform is flexible enough, highly flexible. So to pull in these custom reports, or to pull in, like, needed things to be changed, deployed faster, and then, do that. And also, obviously, like, people come first. So all of our team, they were, like, able to really understand the needs and all that. Okay, hey, it's going to take a little bit more time, but let's help them out and all that. I think, credit goes to all of our team members. I should really appreciate them. So that's there. And obviously the capabilities, the product part of it, right? What are the other capabilities, right? So we try to get to that 100% accurate migrations in terms of, okay, hyperlinks, okay, permissions, external permissions, versions, you name it, right? There's several other things that we also do that nobody else in the world does it. So it gives us a lot of that confidence and to work with you folks. And definitely, we try to keep that up as much as we can. We definitely try to work hard on that, yeah.
Thanks, Ravi. Thanks, Vikrant. Thanks, Amanda, as always. I I think something that's often overlooked when it comes to these large-scale migrations is, just looking at the entirety of it. Some products and services are just sold as a licensing model, and that's really it. And you're just getting licensing, and then it's up to you to kind of figure out the product, how it works. And then, of course, you're submitting tickets and trying to kind of respond reactively. And I know CloudFuze, we have shied away from that just for that reason. We want to be proactive. We want to be involved in our clients' migrations and be collaborative and supportive with them because it's something we do every day. And you've experienced it before, man. You've done some migrations, but it's typically not something our clients are doing day to day, right? It's not the world that they live in. So the services that we build into the product cost, we feel, that proactive action pays off in terms of getting ahead of things, planning, rather than just being responsive to when everything kind of goes haywire. Because we know migrations are complex, and it's never an easy process. But we can get there with the proper planning. So thank you so much.
Yeah, just a final thought on that, Anthony. I don't want to miss this. Last but not least, I know Amanda and then Vikrant, forget about like their technical skills and all that. They're great humans to work with. And that's one of the great things also. This whole partnership became so successful because that's collaborative nature. That's very, very important for the whole success of the whole migration, right? We have done like so many migrations, but people on the other side, we know that, okay, if we explain them, they'll understand. I think that gives us a lot of, kind of like support to the team and all that. So we are open to collaborate, change as needed and all that. I think, yeah, again, really, really great help from both of you and then support from both of you. I really appreciate personally on that.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. We have about 15 minutes left, so we were going to open it up to any questions from the audience or, yeah.
So when you're doing file storage migrations, how do you help the customers plan for like Azure consumption costs and stuff like that?
Great question.
It's one of the last people that's usually thought of, and then all of a sudden you bought a 3 or 4 or 500,000 Walmart consumption bill, and they go, "Why did you do this?"
Yeah, I think that's a question I think draws on to other source clouds as well, and as the cost of egress and just migrating away from platforms is either implemented in those clouds or and we're starting to see more and more of that, obviously, as data starts to shift and, a lot of it starts to move to Microsoft. I think being as transparent as possible as an organization in terms of all of the potential costs and aspects around migration are critical. The specifics of those costs I don't have handy, but I know that there's specific source clouds that whenever it comes up, it's like, okay, step one is let's let them know that we're going to need some more API calls here than what you have standard or what you're getting with your plan, and let's ensure that cost is budgeted out early and at least, estimated, because there are some moving parts, right? So it's tough to hit it right on the head with the exact number, but at least we can get some rough estimates.
Yeah, at least but you guys help plan.
Absolutely.
I know with Azure S3, you're going to get a cost for egress and then the cost for replacing the data in Azure.
Yep.
And so that a lot of times that's where cost overruns happen because they don't plan for the extra $.
And it's not a fraction of a penny either. It's 2 cents. It's a sizable. It adds up quickly.
Sure, and they're like, oh, it's only 8 cents per car. You're like, we're doing 40 million.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's good.
Absolutely.
Okay, one last question.
Sure.
The links, does that go across all Microsoft Office apps like Word, PowerPoint, not just Excel?
Yes.
Yeah, it does fall. I can get you the more specifics on everything, but it does go beyond Excel and Word. We can even replace links in PDF type files. There's some limitations to it, but if we're able to read it and edit it in that PDF, then we can edit it there. So it does extend beyond just Excel.
Is there any limitations on like the version of Word? Was it Doc versus a DocX or something like that?
No, I haven't faced that as a limitation. I would say the bigger limitation when it comes to our the way that the LinkX platform, when it comes to just migrating, when I'm just speaking about embedded links migration, is when we have to come in and kind of do it as a cleanup, but a lot of the file and folder structure has changed, then it's kind of not ideal. Because again, we're referencing the source, so we have to it's usually best if we're maintaining as much structure or the initial structure as possible when migrating.
So like you got all those subfolders, and then do you do those in the library, or do you just strip them out?
Let me just add some context to that. So I think Anthony's talking about a lot of the customers are approaching us after they do the migration. They realize that, oh, you know what, we have to fix links. Then they'll come to us. So they would have migrated using a third-party tool or something else. At that time, we don't have the knowledge of that. But if they do the migration with us, the whole migration plus the links migration, then we have full control of that. So even the target changes or whatever, so we have full control, we can replace that. So that's the situation that is talking.
Did you ever feel throttling while all of that data was going on?
Did we ever face it?
Throttling, yeah.
I mean, yeah, but
Always.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, to say no is it's something that we need to tune in.
Yeah, it depends on the destination, the source. So whatever platform you pick, every platform has their own throttling, their own guardrail to protect their own infrastructure because it's all shared. Yes, we did face it.
Yeah, so that was my question too. How did you guys overcome the throttling, the bandwidth throttling that Microsoft tends to impose? Because petabytes of data, it's a lot of data, and we've run into throttling with terabytes or even gigs of data in a day. So
Yeah, I can answer that. So throttling, not only with Microsoft, with any other vendor, we cannot avoid it. So a lot of the things that we built into our platform is like a lot of this auto retries based on our own internal mechanism, and a lot of the times all the vendors support exponential backoffs. So there's a concept called exponential backoff. So we use the concept. So that is a little bit better, but I think you cannot avoid throttling, but you are being smart about throttling. So it's like, when you get a throttling, so you want to pause, you want to wait the time that they say and then resend it. But you keep sending it again. If your tool is not capable of understanding that, or if your tool is not intelligent enough that, then guess what? You're going to exactly work the opposite way for throttling. So you're going to delay more.
right. So you guys implement pauses and like
Yes. Auto retry mechanism, exponential, that's all built into the product. So we have a retry mechanism, we have all of those things and all that, yeah.
So we were able to hit, I think we did 15 TB in a day, I'm not saying every day and all the content, everything's the same, but we were able to hit throughput numbers that, were pretty good with the, yeah.
So if you're an EE customer, you can actually log a ticket to Microsoft and they help you. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
That was the other thing I was going to mention too. Yeah, we did a lot of that. Microsoft will tell you that they did relax us quite a bit, and yeah.
If you're not telling them you're coming like Porsche and then
Yeah, that comes under planning.
That's part of that planning, right? Yeah.
We know how much data we are moving and which weekend, so we notify all of our account managers, respective platforms, saying this is happening and we need your help and support to make it moving.
Yep.
so you were able to set dates on that.
Absolutely.
We have a question in the back, yeah.
This is super quick.
Of course.
Microsoft up migration. So we don't throttle inbound migrations to OneDrive and SharePoint at all, as long as you use our migration guidance and APIs and so forth.
Yes.
AKA.ms, I'm scared. So we don't throttle. Like if you guys have a custom app that just tries to use like the REST API or something like that, we will throttle the heck out of it.
Yeah.
Our migration API, we want you to get data in.
Yeah.
So,
I think we can wrap it up. Give a big round of applause to Amanda and Vikram for flying in and joining us in our session. We really appreciate it.